Imagine we lived on a planet within a star system, and behind Pluto and the Kuiper belt there would be simply nothing, only a seemingly endless darkness and an eerie emptiness in the night sky. No stars would shine, only big planets like Jupiter, the nearby Venus, or even Mars would pass as small points of light in the night sky. This is roughly what the universe would look like if we lived in the most terrifying place ever discovered, nothingness in the universe. We humans have a hard time imagining a big nothing. In classical physics, nothing generally refers to the state or space that contains no matter, energy fields, or forces. In short, we could also say that nothing is the absence of any substance or physical properties, a vacuum, and a place where consequently nothing can exist. One of the most terrifying places ever discovered by astronomers is just such a nothing, a vast nothing, in fact. In 1981, a scientist named Robert Kirshner discovered something in space that he could not believe at first, a vast space that simply contained nothing. Let's be clear, we are now talking about the space between stars and planets, solar systems, or galaxies. These spaces are already gigantic from our perspective, but nothing compared to the vast void that Kirshner and his team discovered. The diameter of the vacuum we are talking about here measures a massive 330 million light-years. The Milky Way has a diameter of about 100,000 to 180,000 light-years. This means that the vast void in the cosmos is 1,833 times larger than the entire galaxy in which we live. Light, traveling at an incredible speed through space, would take 330 million years to travel from one end to the other in this void. A strange place we are talking about is located about 700 million light-years away from our planet, near the constellation Boötes. The void was also named after the constellation, the Boötes Void, and has been a mystery ever since, because physically, this place should not exist at all. Now, you might ask yourself, why is this place so terrible? Well, imagine that our galaxy were in the Boötes Void. About 100 years ago, our scientists would have started to look further and further out into space. There would have been nothing behind the stars of our Milky Way but a terrifyingly vast void, one galaxy in a huge, vast void. That would be a strange idea. How would we then think about a universe in which there is so much more nothing than there is something? Our cosmic worldview looks quite different. Our Earth orbits the Sun, and the Sun is located in an outer spiral arm of our galaxy. In our direct cosmic neighborhood, there are 24 galaxies. Together with these, we are part of the so-called local cluster of galaxies, or the local group. The next higher unit is the Virgo supercluster. In it are our local group, the Virgo Galaxy Group, and several other small and medium-sized galaxy groups, home to several thousand galaxies. The Virgo supercluster is one of the largest structures in the known universe, and yet it is only about 110 million light-years across. We remind you at this point again, the void we report here is 330 million light-years wide. Researchers know today that galaxies and galaxy clusters do not move freely and arbitrarily through space. What looks dark and empty to us is, in reality, crisscrossed by cosmic roads, the filaments. The structure of the universe and the galaxy groupings is almost a bit like the organic structures in the human body. We know similar pictures from blood and nerve paths, as well as anatomical representations of bones or organ structures. Who knows? Maybe, at some point, we will get to know that our galaxy is in the tissue of a huge living being, and we call it a universe, just as a blood cell in our veins might call us a universe. But that's another topic. Let's get back to the Boötes Void. The discovery of the neighbors. We consider again how explorers on an Earth that exists in the Great Void slowly explore space. It would have been possible for the first time in the 1960s to look so far that a surprise suddenly appeared in the Boötes Void, another galaxy, very far away, and only thanks to the latest electric telescopes, it was finally possible to visualize the faint light of this eternally distant galaxy. In the further decades, the researchers would have spotted further galaxies and further enormous distances. Then, one day, their breath would have been taken away because beyond a threshold, which up to that time nobody could survey, suddenly so much light appeared that nobody wanted to believe it at first. At this time, the void scientists would have found the part of the universe that we consider normal, a lush variety of stars, galaxies, planets, colorful nebulae, black holes, and many other structures. Physical challenge. Just as the matter-rich universe would be puzzling to scientists looking out of nowhere, the existence of the void is a mystery to our researchers. It doesn't fit the picture. Why is there nothing or not much in this place? 60 galaxies are in a space in which, compared with other regions of the cosmos, otherwise 2,000 to 10,000 galaxies would romp. And why are there still these 60 within the nothing? The void does not only question structures like the usual density or grouping patterns in the cosmos, but it also turns some so far common physical basic assumptions upside down. The vacuum space seems to be completely isolated from the rest of the universe. This means that no galaxies can enter from the outside, and no galaxies that are in the void can leave it. Does the void consist of dark matter? Now, we would come upon the idea that the void is filled with dark matter, which we cannot see. But this is not the case. There is no matter in this space. Dark matter is not visible because it emits no light and no other radiation measurable for us at present. However, it has weight, whereupon scientists came to the idea to call it matter. Dark matter can be observed by its gravitational influences, but even these effects are missing in the Boötes void. It seems to be the perfect nothing. Scientists assume that directly after the Big Bang, a carpet with boiling hot primordial particles expanded furiously. Basically, our universe has kept the basic structures of these first moments until today, only they have changed. One could say they have stretched and changed their appearance. Nevertheless, the structures can be traced back to the beginning. It's kind of like when you blow up a balloon, points or lines on the balloon then drift apart, and the pattern and positions of the points change. If you let the air out of the balloon slowly, the marks move back to the starting point. Physically, however, there were no spaces in the beginnings of the universe that would correspond to the nothingness of the Boötes void on the balloon. It's as if a hole suddenly appears on your balloon, but strangely enough, the air does not escape from the balloon because of it, but you couldn't trace the structure either. It's just suddenly there and doesn't make any sense. Scientists have been trying to find an explanation since the discovery of the void. Today, explanations are common, according to which in the course of millions of years, many small voids have come together to form larger and larger ones. The theory could almost be mathematically proven. Researchers calculated many small voids back to the Big Bang, only the calculation did not go completely. The Boötes void is 10 times larger than it should be according to these calculations. And now we come to the next shock. In the meantime, many more voids have been found, and the Boötes void rather belongs to the small ones. The 2007 Eridanus supervoid has a diameter of 1.4 billion light-years and puts the Boötes void easily in its pocket. The work of a Type 3 civilization, scientists are perplexed. How can one still explain the enormous nothing which should not actually exist? Maybe somebody has simply conjured away what was once there. Sound crazy? Well, it's one of the common theories of astrophysics. Strictly speaking, it was put up by followers of the Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev. He propagated in the 1960s that there must be far advanced civilizations in the universe, and their technical progress can be recognized above all by the kind of energy production. Type 2 civilizations stock up on energy by building an energy harvesting network, a so-called Dyson sphere, around their star, and possibly also around neighboring stars. Type 3 civilizations have learned to tap the energy of the entire universe. To do this, they simply build their power plants around entire galaxies. Some exotic scientists are of the opinion that in the Boötes void, one or several such civilizations could exist, and they have made what should be there invisible by a power station. This theory would explain, for example, why the void shows a form that seems almost geometrically constructed. Conservative scientists believe that such explanations are nevertheless a little too far-fetched. Explanations based on Einstein's theory of relativity and more compatible with common theories like the Big Bang are preferable to most astrophysicists than admitting the existence of alien magicians. Crash of two universes. Observations of the cosmic background radiation not so long ago identified a large cold spot that has been counted among the largest known voids since its discovery. At a distance of only 3 billion light-years, researchers found evidence of a very special collision within this structure, which is minimally colder than the rest of the universe. At the cold spot, two universes may have collided an incredibly long time ago. Afterwards, the emptiness developed as a kind of scar tissue in the cosmic structures. Differently than the idea with the supercivilization that lets galaxies disappear for the purpose of energy production, this theory could even be proven computationally. But also this approach forces conservatively aligned physicists to admit views against which they resist up to now. For the less, it cannot be denied anymore. The universe is full of discoveries and real existing facts that constantly demand the overhaul of old worldviews. What do you think now? Do you think that voids have what it takes to revolutionize astrophysics, or do you have a completely rational explanation for the existence of the big nothing?